What if the most common human expression was also one of the deepest forms of psychological trauma playing out in real time? What if every single day millions of people commit a silent, socially approved act of self-betrayal so profound that it rewires their brain for permanent loneliness? This isn't about occasional politeness. This is about the engineered smile, the fabricated grin, the expression worn like a mask that eventually becomes the face. This is the psychology of people who smile without feeling it. To understand the smile that feels like nothing, we must first go to a place where smiles are currency. Picture a high-end hotel lobby. Marble floors, the soft murmur of discreet conversations, the scent of polished wood and expensive perfume. Here we find a person, let's call him Alex. Alex is a concierge, renowned for his impeccable service, his ever-present radiant smile. Guests write reviews praising his sunny disposition, his unflappable cheer. For 12 hours a day, Alex's smile is a fixed professional fixture. It's there when dealing with a demanding guest, when solving a trivial problem, when simply standing at his post. Now, follow Alex home. The door clicks shut in a quiet, dark apartment. The shoulders, held high and square all day, collapse. The face, so animated hours before, goes utterly, devastatingly blank. It's not a frown, it's an emptiness. The smile hasn't turned upside down, it has evaporated, leaving a void. He touches his own face in the mirror, trying to find the muscles that were so engaged, but they are numb. The smile wasn't a lie, exactly, it was a performance, and the cost of the performance is this profound, echoing stillness. This is the first layer, the professional smile. It's a scripted behavior, what sociologist Arlie Hochschild called emotional labor, the management of feeling to create a publicly observable facial and bodily display. The brain in this state is in a mild, chronic state of dissonance. The facial feedback hypothesis suggests that the act of smiling itself can trigger feelings of happiness. But neuroscience reveals a darker nuance. This only holds true when the smile is genuine, involving the orbicularis oculi muscles around the eyes, the Duchenne smile. The professional smile is a non-Duchenne smile, all mouth, no eyes. It's a zygomatic major contraction without the neurological correlate of joy. The brain receives the signal from the face, we are smiling, but it scans the internal environment and finds no corresponding emotional state. The result? A form of subtle psychic fragmentation. Every time Alex smiles without feeling it, he sends a silent message to his own limbic system. Your internal reality is irrelevant. Only the external display matters. This fracture goes deeper than the workplace. It invades the most sacred of spaces, family. Consider the family reunion photograph, the Thanksgiving table, the wedding, the birthday party. Everyone is gathered and someone shouts, "Smile!" And there it is, a chorus of grins, a snapshot of apparent bliss. But in that chorus, there is often a person, let's name her Maya, whose heart is a stone. Perhaps she just had a searing argument in the kitchen with a parent. Perhaps she's grieving a loss no one at the table acknowledges. Perhaps the very sight of these people triggers a deep familial trauma. Yet when the camera lifts, she smiles. It's a good smile, convincing. It says, "I am happy. We are a happy family." This is the allegiance smile. It's a smile of loyalty, of keeping the peace, of maintaining the family myth. Psychologically, this is a survival mechanism rooted in attachment. The child learns that expressing true negative emotion risks rejection or conflict from the caregiver. So the smile becomes a shield, a way to say, "I am not a threat. I conform. I belong." But for the adult Maya, that childhood wiring is now a cage. Her smile at the family event is a trauma response. It's a dissociation between her true emotional experience and the required social performance. Research on emotional incongruence shows that consistently displaying emotions one does not feel is strongly linked to increased stress, anxiety, and a higher risk of depression. The family photo becomes a fossil record of her isolation. She is physically present, smiling, yet emotionally light years away. The loneliness in that moment is absolute, precisely because she is surrounded by people who believe the lie her face is telling. They see the smile and assume connection. She feels the smile and knows it's the very barrier that seals her off.
Then there is the darkest territory of the unfelt smile, the smile in the face of abuse. This is not mere politeness or duty. This is a neurological weapon of last resort. Imagine a scenario from a chilling psychological case study. A person subjected to constant, subtle put-downs by a partner, negging, gaslighting, emotional withdrawal. The partner says something cruel, disguised as a joke. The victim's internal response is a flash of pain, of confusion, of hurt. But to show that hurt is to invite more cruelty, to be labeled oversensitive, to start a fight they cannot win. So what does the brain do? It reaches for the smile, a small, tight, fleeting smile. This smile is a white flag and a circuit breaker. It's a signal of submission that aims to disarm the aggressor. It's also an attempt to short-circuit the victim's own rising panic. The smile here is a direct product of the freeze or fawn trauma response. It's not joy, it's terror wearing a friendly mask. The crazy, counterintuitive psychological fact is that this smile can actually increase in frequency as the abuse worsens. The brain, in its desperate bid to find a pattern that leads to safety, latches onto the one thing that sometimes delays the attack: appeasement. The victim may even believe, in a twisted way, that they are keeping the peace or seeing the good in their abuser. This smile is a prison of the highest order. It severs the person from their own righteous anger, their own pain, the very signals that could motivate them to leave. They become complicit in their own emotional annihilation, smiling as it happens. What is the cumulative brain damage of a lifetime of these unfelt smiles? The psychology points to a condition called alexithymia, a difficulty in identifying and describing one's own emotions. When people constantly override their internal state with a prescribed external expression, the connection between feeling and label weakens. They know they are supposed to smile, so they do. But what they actually feel becomes a blurry, distant mystery. They might report feeling numb or flat. This is the psychological void Alex touched in his mirror. Furthermore, this practice trains the brain for inauthenticity. Social connection, the true antidote to loneliness, is built on mutual vulnerability, on the exchange of true emotional signals. When someone's primary social tool is a fabricated smile, they become unknowable. They attract people who are drawn to the mask, not the person beneath. This leads to relationships that are profoundly lonely, where the individual feels more isolated than if they were physically alone. They are surrounded by people who love a phantom. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that emotional inauthenticity, the disparity between felt and displayed emotions, predicts poorer social relationship quality and higher loneliness. In essence, the very tool they use to seek safety in crowds becomes the engine of their profound existential solitude. The smile becomes the wall. But how did this start? For many, the origin story is not in a boardroom or an abusive relationship, but in childhood. Picture a young boy told to smile for grandma when he was feeling shy and overwhelmed, or a little girl instructed that nice girls are always pleasant, learning to smile through disappointment, anger, or sadness. The child's emotional world is invalidated,
and the smile becomes the first, most important costume they learn to wear. Their authentic self retreats behind it. This is the foundational trauma of the unfelt smile, the early, repeated lesson that their genuine emotional experience is unacceptable, inconvenient, or unlovable. Survival becomes linked to performance. The brain wires itself accordingly, and by adulthood, the performance is automatic. The person has become, in the most tragic sense, a very convincing puppet. They pull their own strings, smiling on cue, while the authentic self watches from a dark, silent place within, growing ever more distant and lonely. We've seen the prison. We've diagnosed the mechanism of the mask. But what happens when the mask finally cracks, or worse, fuses permanently to the skin? Now we will explore the neurological point of no return, where the unfelt smile consumes the last remnants of the true self. We will expose the shocking physical consequences this act has on the brain and body, and reveal the one counterintuitive moment, the moment of total emotional collapse that paradoxically holds the only key to breaking free. The descent is not over. The darkest truth about the smile is what it leaves behind when it finally fades.
The mask has been worn so long it has begun to graft. This is the stage beyond performance, where the neurological pathways for the unfelt smile have become the brain's default setting. Imagine a person, let's call him Daniel, who has spent 2 decades in client services, in a cheerful marriage of convenience, in the role of the eternal optimist for a demanding family. The smile has been his armor, his currency, his shield. But one Tuesday, for no discernible reason, the system fails. He's in the supermarket, reaching for a cereal box, and a wave of absolute void washes over him. Not sadness, not anger, a pure, silent nothingness. His wife texts a question mark about dinner. A client emails a routine request, and Daniel realizes, with a cold, clinical terror, that he has no idea what he feels. The software of social response prompts him to text a smiley face, to reply, "Happy to help." But the hardware of the self, the inner emotional core, is offline. The smile, the cheerful tone, they fire automatically, like a spinal reflex. But the person, the conscious I that should be piloting these actions, is gone. This is the psychological state of depersonalization, a direct descendant of chronic emotional inauthenticity. The brain, to protect itself from the constant strain of dissonance, has severed the connection between action and feeling entirely. The person becomes a spectator in their own life, watching their smiling avatar navigate a world that feels like a high-definition dream. The loneliness in this state is ontological. It is loneliness for the self. They have lost the one person they were supposed to spend a lifetime with, trapped behind their own teeth. The physical cost of this charade is written not just in the psyche, but in the flesh and in the brain's very architecture. Consider the research on cognitive dissonance and stress physiology. When people consistently display emotions they do not feel, they experience heightened activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear and alarm center, and in the anterior cingulate cortex, which monitors for conflicts and errors. Every unfelt smile is a tiny error message to the brain. Facial expression does not match internal state. Threat detected. This creates a low-grade chronic stress response, a constant hum of cortisol flooding the system. Over time, this corrosive drip leads to the very outcomes the smile was meant to ward off: burnout, immune dysfunction, and a heightened vulnerability to anxiety disorders. The body keeps the score, and it tallies every counterfeit grin as a debt to be paid later with compound interest. There's a brutal irony here. The smile,
a universal symbol of health and well-being, becomes, in its inauthentic form, a slow-acting poison. It's a psychological fact that turns common sense on its head. Forcing positivity can be more damaging than acknowledging negative emotion. Studies in psychoneuroimmunology show that emotional suppression, of which the unfelt smile is the prime symbol, impairs the body's immune response, making people literally more susceptible to illness. The mask, therefore, is not just a psychological burden, it is a biohazard suit worn in clear weather, slowly suffocating the wearer. But the most devastating story is not of the slow fade, but of the catastrophic crack. Picture a woman, Sarah, the pillar of her friend group, the one who always remembers birthdays with the perfectly chosen card and that steady, reassuring smile. She's the listener, the holder of secrets, the strong one. Her smile is a tool of caretaking, a signal to others that she is stable ground. Then her own foundation crumbles. A parent dies, a career implodes, a private hope is extinguished. The flood of genuine, overwhelming grief hits, but her social identity, the neural pathways of a lifetime, resist. At the funeral, among friends offering support, her face instinctively arranges itself into the familiar, gentle smile. She says, "I'm okay," and the smile sells the lie. But inside, the dissonance between the volcanic grief and the placid expression becomes unbearable. The brain cannot reconcile the two. That night, alone, the system may fail in one of two ways. The first is a total emotional short circuit, a collapse into a state of mute catatonia, unable to express anything at all. The smile and the tears both locked away, frozen by a psyche that can no longer distinguish between safe and unsafe expression. The second is the opposite, a floodgate failure. A minor irritation, a dropped glass, a misplaced key triggers not annoyance, but a tsunami of decades-stored sorrow, rage, and pain that is incomprehensible to anyone around her, including herself. This is the loneliness of the great unfelt smile, finally felt. It is a breakdown so complete that it alienates the very people who could help, because its magnitude seems to come from nowhere. It confirms their deepest, hidden fear, that their true self, once revealed, is a monstrous, incomprehensible thing. This moment of breakdown, however, is not the end. It is the only true beginning. It is the psyche's violent, desperate attempt to reboot a corrupted operating system. The crack in the mask is not a failure. It is the first sign of integrity.
The path back from this place is not about learning to smile more. It is about the terrifying, liberating work of learning to not smile. It begins with the reclamation of the facial muscles as territories of the self, not instruments of social contract. This is micro work. It is the person in a boring meeting feeling the familiar polite smile twitch at their lips and consciously allowing the muscles to relax into neutrality. It feels, at first, like a shocking act of aggression. They will feel exposed, rude, vulnerable. The brain's alarm system will scream that this is dangerous. That is the trauma response talking. The reality is that a neutral face is not an angry face. It is an honest one. It is a face that says, "I am here, present, and I am not currently experiencing joy, and that is acceptable." This practice of neutral authenticity is the first step in rewiring the brain. It rebuilds the connection between internal state and external expression, one micro moment at a time. It is the antidote to alexithymia. People must become cartographers of their own inner landscape, learning to name the subtle textures of emotion, not just fine or not fine, but the quiet ache of melancholy, the low burn of irritation, the flat plane of contentment. This is not self-indulgence, it is neurological rehabilitation.
The next stage is the deliberate, strategic introduction of authentic negative expression. This is the true crucible. This is about allowing the frown of concentration to appear without immediately smoothing it away. It is about letting a friend see the flicker of hurt in their eyes before the smile reflex can cover it. It feels like extreme vulnerability because it is. It is the dismantling of the primary defense mechanism. But here lies the insane, beautiful psychological twist. It is this exact vulnerability that forges real, attack-resistant connection. When people stop smiling to appease, they start attracting those who resonate with their genuine frequency. They repel those who only sought the comfort of their mask. The loneliness begins to shift from a chronic, hollow presence to a specific, addressable problem. They are no longer universally, vaguely lonely in a crowd. They are specifically alone in lacking a deep connection, which is a problem that can be solved rather than an identity to be endured. The final, most powerful transformation comes when the smile itself is reclaimed. After a journey through neutrality and the honest frown, the smile can return, not as a mask, but as a choice. It is the difference between a painted sun on a wall and the genuine warmth of daylight on skin. This authentic smile, the Duchenne smile that engages the eyes, is no longer a social tool, but an external eruption of an internal reality. It is fleeting, unprompted, and uncontrollable. It might appear at a silly joke, at the sight of something beautiful, in a moment of shared understanding. This smile is not for others, it is a communication between the self and the moment. And paradoxically, this self-contained, non-performative smile is infinitely more attractive, more connective than the engineered one ever was. It broadcasts integrity. It signals a person who is at home within themselves, and that is the most profound antidote to loneliness there is. To be at home in oneself is to never be truly alone, even in solitude. The psychology of people who smile without feeling it is, at its core, the psychology of a civil war between the self and the world, where the self agreed to lose every battle to win a peace that turned out to be captivity. The journey out is not toward more smiling, but toward more truth, first in the muscles of the face, then in the vocabulary of the heart, and finally in the connections they choose to make. The goal is not to eradicate the smile, but to depose it from its tyranny, to allow the full, messy, brilliant spectrum of human emotion to exist without a diplomatic representative. The face was never meant to be an ambassador, it was meant to be a window. When people clean that window, allowing the light inside to truly show, be it bright sun or stormy gray, that is when they become visible to themselves and to others. And in that visibility, in that stark, unsmiling honesty, the deep, aching loneliness that started this whole charade finally meets its only worthy opponent, a self that no longer needs to hide.